r/AskMen. Throwaway Gal 2 says, why is it still accepted that men have to pay for dates? Got shut down by a first date I had ridiculous chemistry with because she was completely abhorred by my preference to split the check. That is, I wasn't against paying, but I would prefer to split. At one point, she said if someone is pursuing me, they should show me how much they want me by paying. I posted in a different sub about it, and the amount of misandry in the comments is ridiculous. Same w/any other thread it's brought up. I feel worthless. If both people have full-time jobs, why am I morally obligated to subsidize a stranger's free time all of a sudden? Both people have incomes. And it can lead to people getting used romantically for their wallets. This has happened to me several times, and I've had enough. Numerous Profile 872 says, as a gay man, I hear from both sides and it's interesting. Without being sexist, there is a subset of entitled female people out there who boast and laugh, in private, about going on dates for food and entertainment. It's kinda gross, broke girl behavior, and I would avoid girls like this, because you are absolutely not the only guy they've seen this week. You think you hit it off, but she was just flashing you her charm, because they believe they're paying you with their company. It's a privilege to be seen with them, to spend time with them, and even interact with them. Men can be like this too. Mostly femboys and twinks. You just found a red flag, good for you. Zlauncher says, huh. Fascinating to hear that gay men have to deal with this shit too. Thanks for sharing. Sflag2 says, one perk of our more open modern society for straight folks is we now have a disinterested third party to provide dispassionate commentary on our bullshit lol. grel7 says, in my experience, you either didn't have as much chemistry as you thought, or she really subscribes to that mentality. Remember that this discussion is online centric. Many people still go by the guy paying for everything in the beginning without a second thought. Dwarthesovich says, yeah. I have to wonder if she thought they had ridiculous chemistry. Vokris says, she was hot, and he was thirsty. Yaus author Timek Knife says, consider it a blessing that they are waving red flags for you early on. The last woman I dated, before I met my wife, wanted to play games about pursuing her, and it ended the relationship. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. CSL 512 says, exactly this. Chemistry is only one part. If you are not compatible on the sharing the load, then that's not compatibility. Edit, just realized your name is likely a good place reference. Click and Clack says, and if you aren't looking to share the load with your potential significant other, girl or guy, you aren't really setting yourself up for a healthy relationship. The Summary Man 713 says, my thoughts about this are this: if a woman is a traditional woman, in the sense that most of her principles are old school and traditional, then that's fine. It's not the woman I want to be with, and I move along when I find this type of woman. No harm, no foul. I just prefer a woman who has more modern principles and not old school. But if I come across a woman where most of her principles are not traditional, and they speak out against these traditions, and are generally about new modern and progressive principles, yet make exceptions for things like this example, that's when I get angry. I find that incredibly hypocritical. You are either traditional, or you're not. You can't pick and choose things where you want 99% of your principles to be equal in a relationship, household task, child rearing, and so many other things, but when it comes to paying for a date, you decide things should be traditional. That's a big red flag in my opinion. If you want things to be fair in a relationship, then make them fair across the board. Don't start playing this game where you try to get out of something and pull that card. Can opener in a can says, exactly this. Every woman I've encountered so far who expected me to pay was also opposed to assigned gender roles in relationships. Personally, I'm not a fan of assigned gender or less, but I extend that to paying as well. We trade off, or we split it. Lupus Capadalis says, it's like the absurd number of women I know who think household chores should be split, but don't do any manual labor, because that's a guy thing. Hugh Jambo 11 says, supply and demand. Shegatoff the Plane says, this is the exact answer. There's already been 2 previous threads just today in this sub about why single women are happier and less concerned about relationships than single men. Therefore, the more desperate party has less leverage, which is usually the man. And the harsh truth is, if you won't pay for her, there'll be a million guys begging to take her on a date and pay. So you can have your standards, so can she, but just know that it won't be as easy for you. r/AskMen. Typical at 6747 says, as a man, how do you take a flattering photo for, say, a dating site? Cause I've noticed women will almost always show off some of their assets, and they just always look really good. So as a man, how do you do that in reverse? Because every time I've thought about it, I just can't think of anything. Dreams 1234 says, sorry, had to chime in, not a man. I'm a wing woman to many male friends from work and school, and this is a freck question. Few tips: take your photos slightly elevated, not straight on, or down to up as the angle is not flattering, and don't open your eyes fully. If you do, sometimes gives a creepy vibe by mistake. I'd recommend also including a pic of you and your pet doing an activity, if you have a pet, like at a park, or hanging at home. Women like to see men take care of things, it triggers the DILF/DILF lovers in us all. If you have a group shot of friends, makes you appear social. However, no offense intended, if you are the worst looking man in your group, this could backfire. Only include a group shot when you are on par or better looking than your friends/peers. It will make you stand out, and she'll be doing mental comparisons. Lastly, recommend you shave how you will appear on the date. If you don't shave normally, you shouldn't oversell that in your pics. It'll just piss the girl off when she meets you, may cause ghosting. You don't want to be catfished, so go in with that same thought. Good luck. Blancusipa says, I just put up a photo of my bank account. A red guitar pic says, as a man, how do you take a flattering photo for, say, a dating site? You don't, someone else takes it for you. Pianist Supersoldier says, phone tripod. Make a day out of it. Show off forearms. Get women to look at the photo or use photo filler. Moran Imposter says, if you do not have an actual photographer friend/pay photographer, have your friends take about 500 photos of you over a week. Compare 2 photos taken with each other. Delete one you don't like. Move to next 2 photos. Do it until you have 4 to 5 photos. Those are the photos you should use. Fight Club Boston says, I'm never sure how much shaft to show. Diesel NSFW says, tripods are amazing. Good lighting. Get people to review your pics before posting. Pinnipulza 766 says, advice from a woman to a guy: show off forearms, a well-groomed pic of you in like a suit or just decent clothes, something at a casual event, we like to know you clean up good, a pic doing fun activities, extra bonus points for pets, a casual full normal jeans that show of your butt and package, but are not tight on your legs, boot or straight leg is best, also maybe a random pic that gets the cleanest part of your house in the background so we know. We don't have to be your mom, and yes, we totally notice things like this, but the main trick is to look relaxed/relax while posing. It helps if you have someone helping. Tilpsychological 351 says, I used a professional photographer. I didn't originally intend the photo for dating, it was for business purposes, but I got enough compliments that I decided to use it as my match profile photo. Homeless European says, let women take photos of you, then choose from the output what you feel the most comfortable with. Kyle Sadly says, I learned recently it's better for the pic to be higher and facing downward. vs pic from lower angle up. Rest in Peach says, I would make the first photo the one that catches the attention and don't necessarily have to portray the normal you. Take a photo where you might wear a rolled up shirt if you are somewhat fit, get a haircut, a watch. You know, just look well kept together. If you have the same kind of pink tint as me, you can make it B&W. As others have mentioned, put in some photo with a group of friends, not more than 1 or 2 photos, as there should be no confusion as to whom you are in the photo. If you have a pet, have a photo with your pet, not if it's a snake or spider. Make sure that you portray both seriousness, but also that you are able to be outgoing. Expert Iena6226 says, find a friend into photography. 20,000 looms says, wear super tight shirts while flexing subtly. Tust00T says, make sure you have a photo of you holding a fish/s. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.